Hello, BookTube. I almost forgot about the mail. I got a mail shipment this morning that I wallowed in all by myself with just me and the puppy. But I have another one. I have the late afternoon mail haul was small because the humidity just kept going up and up and up. And then finally there were intermittent downpours. Actually, Frida and I were caught in one. Bright, bright sunlight, like the middle of the day, and yet buckets of rain pouring down from the clear sky. She wasn't happy at all. She wasn't happy at all. My baby girl does not like the rain. She does not like the snow. She does not like the morning. She does not like the countryside. It's like I'm once again married to one of the Gabor sisters. But anyway, we have 3 packages. That's not that bad. So let's look at this first one here. An overseas package from Amersfoort. Oh my, it's from Amersfoort in the Netherlands. A wonderful town. Why would anybody... There can't be a publisher who would... Oh, I know exactly where this was posted from. I know every inch. Oh, wow. Oh, boy. Oh, well, I know it'll contain a book, but I actually wish it contained a magnet, a kitchen magnet, or a postcard or something. Wow. Oh, my. Those of you who have never been, the Netherlands is like a dream come true, as far as a place to visit, or I've heard to live. So, and Amersfoort is a wonderful, a classic Netherlands combination of old and new. Wonderful people, of course. One of the most wonderful people in Europe. Just. Oh my! All right. Well, what have we got here? Oh. Okay. Great. Great. I heard about this book. I don't actually remember how I heard about this book. Son of a gun. It's published in the Netherlands. Esdoorn Editions in the Netherlands. Wow. Did not know that. Okay. I don't remember how I learned about this book. God, I certainly don't remember. But it sounded interesting to me. We'll see. I bet it sounds interesting to you, too. This is due in October, and it is My 100 Days of War by Darrell Duthie. That is the cover. In the fall of 1918, Canadian intelligence officer Major Malcolm MacPhail is at the forefront of a vital Allied offensive that will decide the course of World War I. As the Germans seek to stem the advance, the battle turns ever more ferocious, and Malcolm's friends begin to fall. With the outcome of the war at stake, his own life in increasing danger, and a new peril arises behind the lines. Never much for diplomacy, Malcolm's outspoken ways have made him enemies, and one appears bent on his downfall. Gripping, curiously authentic... Okay. That could have been worded a little better. Gripping, curiously authentic historical fiction about the dramatic final months of the Great War. I'm hoping that it's not curiously authentic. I'd like to think that all books set in any time period of history would be authentic. But I wonder, is this author, the author, is he from the Netherlands? No, he's not. Boy, I bet there's a story about, behind the story of this thing. Okay. So this is a World War I murder mystery. That's probably what attracted my attention. I just don't remember how. Also, can we take a moment to note the wonderful cover design? That is a wonderful cover design. Says everything that you want to say. One man alone, war-torn city. Okay, great. Fantastic. So this comes out in late October. I'm going to have to find out more about this. More about the story of this. Like, for instance, I mean, Esdoorn Editions, the publisher of this thing, obviously does a very good job. But are they very small, or is this self-published? I'm gonna have to look into it. Unfortunately, I have a little time to do that. That's great, fantastic, wow. And then we've got this next one. I don't think I mentioned this little trio of packages ends in a box. There were lots of boxes earlier. Probably shouldn't mention that at all. Let's see what we have here. Okay, we're 2 for 2. This also comes out in October, naturally. Oh my. This is by Nick Groom, and it is The Vampire, A New History, and in a very rare instance, we have 2 very good cover designs, including one that's American. That is really neat. That is a really good cover design. Notice how it would be curiously less effective if we saw the actual insides of a coffin, the upholstery or the brass railings or whatever. This is more suggestive and therefore better, and the background is red, inspired. So what have we got here? Published to mark the bicentenary of John Polidori's publication of The Vampire. Oh my God. Okay. This book illuminates the complex history of the iconic creature. The vampire first came to public prominence in the early 18th century when Enlightenment science collided with Eastern European folklore and apparently verified outbreaks of vampirism, capturing the attention of medical researchers, political commentators, social theorists, theologians, and philosophers. And novelists. I think you probably want to add on there, right? You probably want to add one person more important than all the others put together, a certain novelist, a certain tall, bearded, bronze-faced novelist. Groom traces the vampire from its role as a monster embodying humankind's fears to that of an unlikely hero for the marginalized and excluded in the 21st century. Sometimes. Yes, sometimes. Social mores evolve over time, and with them, the popular conception of the vampire evolves over time. For instance, when Anne Rice, again, not quite Bram Stoker, but very, very, very close to the same shelf as far as the job of putting the word vampire in everyone's vocabulary, when she wrote her original trilogy of vampire novels with the Vampire Lestat and Lewis and Armand and all the others, she thought in some passages of those novels that she was avoiding the moral ambiguity of her characters. You have to get rid of that. You have to get rid of the moral part if you want a vampire as a cool, sexy anti-hero. You have to get rid of the fact that they're also predators, that they eat people. they drink them dry and kill them. You have to sort of get around that, and one of the early methods in Anne Rice and other authors of getting around that was to have them kill only quote-unquote homeless people. And that's, of course, not acceptable now. It wasn't acceptable then. It was tone deaf then. Now, that certainly would not be viewed as an acceptable alternative. Also, by the same token, the approach that's taken by the Cullen family in the Twilight books of killing endangered wildlife to drain them of blood would also not be acceptable, to say nothing of the fact that if you slip up even a little, you have a vampire grizzly bear. What are you going to do with a vampire grizzly bear? Or the approach in the Angel TV show, in Buffy and Angel, the TV show, where Angel raids the blood bank at the hospital. That also is not acceptable. That blood is needed, badly needed. So it's a tricky thing. When they become, as the pub sheet says here, unlikely heroes. It's a tricky thing. It's like, what do you have them do then? Do you have them intentionally research and hunt down only criminals? That sort of thing. You get into dicey territory there as well. It's one of the reasons why I am not as big a fan of the Dexter novels as almost everybody else. Because having a serial killer get his serial killer rocks off by killing bad people doesn't really solve anything. It doesn't get you out of any kind of doghouse. But I should probably let the pub sheet get back to its business, shouldn't I? Drawing on literary and artistic representations, as well as medical, forensic, empirical, and socio-political perspectives. And literary? Maybe? Vampires don't exist, after all, so a large part of their history is going to be literary. This rich and eerie history presents the vampire as a strikingly complex being that has been used to express the traumas and contradictions of the human condition. In fiction. I'm going to have to send an email to Nick Groom. But maybe I should read the book first. So who is Nick Groom when he's at home? He is known as the Prof of Goth. A professor of English at Exeter University. His previous titles include The Gothic, a very short introduction, and The Seasons, a celebration of the English year, which was shortlisted for the Catherine Briggs Folklore Award. The Prof of Goth. I almost think I remember that. I bet I know this guy. And I bet I know him for a book that's not listed here. I wonder if this gives other books that he's done. No? No? Are you not? Are you not gonna? No? Oh god, it's got an epigraph from The Lord of the Rings. I shall take the paths of the dead alone, if needs be. No, it only says those 2 books. Okay, well... actually, let's see if he's one of the absolutely ubiquitous crop of egomaniacal academics who quote themselves in their own bibliographies. Maybe that he does. Oh yeah, he's all over his own bibliography. I don't know. Celebration of the English Year and the Gothic. Okay, I think I know him for something else, but that doesn't matter. This is a banquet. This is fantastic. Okay, so this comes out pretty much on Halloween, and that's great. That's fantastic. My only worry, since the author put a lot of work into this, my only worry is something we've mentioned on this channel before. Sometimes when beleaguered book editors who are constantly fighting for space with the sports guys or with advertising, will jump at the chance to lump books together if they can find a good thematic pairing. And you might remember Blood Communion, the next Anne Rice Vampire Lestat novel, comes out at almost the same day as this book in October. I could easily picture book editors seeing those two and thinking, what about something vampire-y? And I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because they both deserve their own reviews. They'll both get their own reviews from me. Unless, of course, somebody offers me money to do a combined review, in which case... Anyway, then we've got the box, and then we'll be done for today. I'll try and make tomorrow's mail haul bigger. Well, tomorrow is Friday, yes? Tomorrow is Friday Reads, so we'll do a nice big thing then. Okay, do I have a pub sheet? Do I have a pub sheet? No. No, I do not have a pub sheet. Alright, well, it doesn't matter. We're not straying far from Vampire Lord. This is the new Christine Feehan. This is Dark Sentinel, one of her Carpathian novels about super sexy super vampires. In this new installment, a human woman ignites the desire of her Carpathian life mate and of an ancient vampire with a score to settle. He's probably going to be the ancient vampire. All of Christine Feehan's men are incredibly old, and yet they look like that. After the devastating loss of her entire family, Lorraine Peters heads to the woods, searching for peace of mind and anything to quell the anger in her soul. Instead, she stumbles upon the scene of horrific violence as one man lies helpless in the fate of 3 attackers. Of course, people don't take to the woods to soothe their troubled souls. That's when you know that you're in a novel. There's a whole gigantic vocabulary, a whole gigantic repertoire of gestures that people do in novels and nowhere else. But at least this is a fantasy novel, so I don't begrudge it. But my God, when that happens in modern contemporary fiction, where you've got somebody who's working in a hair salon or a bookstore, paycheck to paycheck, no savings, no trust fund, no nothing like that, and they decide, well, I just had a bad breakup. I think I'm going to drive across country and have all sorts of wacky adventures. And the whole time you're thinking, how'd you get the gas to leave town? What about your lease? You don't have any savings. What are you going to do for food? You don't work for the rest of the novel. People do that in novels. Characters do that all the time. That sort of nonsense, just nonsense stuff. No, let alone the fact that they're all called Judas or Morning Star or Flames in Her Hair or Stands with a Fist or whatever in Midtown Manhattan in the 1980s and 90s. But leaving that aside, you never see these people work. You never see them have a preference for food that isn't done for comedic effect, or a preference for a place to drink coffee that isn't used to have them meet someone. To have them meet someone key, an heiress that they didn't know existed and that their family's connected to, or whatever. Or they'll stumble upon a scene of violence, when most people don't do that. And yet, their lives are stories worth telling. So, I'm reading about a modern contemporary vampire novel, and I'm spouting a chapter and verse from the William Dean Howells playbook of 150 years ago. Let's just move on, shall we? Andor Katona's existence has been a harsh one. The Carpathians, they don't have it easy. They're super sexy immortal vampires, but they don't have it easy. Living for centuries as a monk in the Carpathian mountains, unable to find his life mate, he almost welcomes his release from a colorless and unfeeling world at the hand of the vampire hunters who have mistaken him for their prey. That is, until a whirling ball of fury bursts onto the scene, determined to save him. In one glimpse, in one breath, Andor recognizes Lorraine as his life mate. But it will take more than their telepathic connection to convince her of their immortal bond. Why? Why would it take more than that? What does she want? An Amex card? Lorraine is a lethal combination of cunning and courage, so much so that she captures the attention of a master vampire, one who has already lost what was once irreplaceable to him, one who will strike with deadly precision at Andor and his ancient Carpathian comrades in a war to end all wars. Okay, so Lorraine Peters is a human woman who's just lost her entire family, and she flees into the woods to quell her anger and encounters a man being attacked by 3 armed hunters. And she's able to make a difference. So is she a special human? Or does she just distract them long enough for him to take care of them? Well, I guess I'll have to read the book to find out. Fortunately, reading Christine Feehan is never a chore. So I don't, when I say I guess I'll have to read the book to find out, I'm not exactly complaining. These are delightful books. Absolutely delightful. I didn't get a pub sheet for it. I'm assuming that it's out now, or will be out very soon. She does, she's been doing these Carpathian books for I don't even know how long. I'm afraid even to look at the, look at the size of this. Oh my God. Look at the size of just the books that she's written. The list takes up 2 pages. But I don't remember. There's at least 30 of these things. And she does a lot right. You think about a series that has 30 books in it. You got to figure by the time you get to book 31, almost all of the text that you're typing at home has got to be fan service. Right? Of one kind or another. You're certainly not writing an entry-level book for your series at book number 31. Instead, you're doing callbacks to book, 2 books ago, 10 books ago, 20 books ago, tying up loose ends that have bothered you, maybe tying up loose ends that you didn't notice but your readers pointed out to you. All kinds of stuff like that is happening by now. Remember the last few novels in the Amelia Peabody series. There was a huge amount of that, so much so that for those novels I was hesitant recommending them to readers. Imagine being hesitant recommending Elizabeth Peters to anybody. But by the end, I was thinking, okay, there's a lot you have to understand here, and not a lot of it is covered. But she does it right. There's a huge glossary. I'm hoping I'm saying this. In most of her book, there's a huge glossary at the back. Yeah, okay. There's a huge glossary in the back. There's a huge... There are appendices in the back of her Carpathian books to bring you up to speed. And if you haven't read a Carpathian book before, it might be wise when you're reading. When I encounter something like that, I always put a bookmark right there and a bookmark in my place. So if anything comes up, I can just immediately go back there. I don't have to flip pages or anything like that. But after a while, in addition to which, she grounds you very well in the world as she's riding along. And then after a while, after 20 or 30 pages... you're not going to care. You're not going to care at all, and in a good way. So there you go. All right, well, not a bad trio. So we have Dark Sentinel, another Carpathian novel from Christine Feehan, always a treat. We have The Vampire by Nick Groom, a history, sociological, ethnographical, historical, tragical, comical, tragical, but and I'm assuming fictional as well. I'm assuming that Bram Stoker's Dracula will be in here, that it's not just John Polidori's book that we're going to be noticing. I'm assuming that that's the case. Dracula has sold better than almost any book in Western history. The Vampire Chronicles have sold better than almost any books in Western history. The Twilight books have sold better than almost any books in Western history. I'm assuming there'll be a literary current running throughout here. And My 100 Days of War by Darrell Duthie. World War I murder mystery that I can't wait to dig into. I am going to wait. I'll read the Christine Feehan tonight. But I can't. I have other things on the docket for these two. I have other things on the docket that come first because these are all the way in October. But The World War I book is pulling at me. I will admit that. And I will email the publicist right away and find out everything about where it comes from. So there you go. That is an end of the day mail haul. Sorry, it's only one. We'll do better tomorrow. We'll do a big stack of books tomorrow. And also, just as a PS, that phone recording worked. I did a video earlier today on my phone to do a bookshelf tour. And I took the video, and that worked just fine. I cleared out all the excess baggage on my phone, so I had plenty of room. And then I used the YouTube app on the phone to try to upload the video directly to YouTube. Absolutely would not do that. Absolutely would not. Didn't say that it wouldn't do it. Just didn't move. Just waiting. So then I went to the video on the phone and tried uploading it that way to YouTube. Still wouldn't work. Absolutely not. Just waiting. So then I connected the phone with the computer and thought, okay, so a screen's going to pop up here. It's going to tell me that another computer is connected to this computer, and it will give me the option of finding that video. That screen didn't pop up, and that is, once upon a time, 10, 15 years ago, the kind of thing that would have drawn howls of rage from non-technological Steve. But instead, because both were Apple products, I sat there and said, no, okay, a window didn't pop up, but I will still be able to do this, and I will be able to figure out how. Which is the glory of this technology. I will be able to figure out how. I won't need expert help. And with very little noodling around, I did. The video lives in the image capture. In the image capture on the computer. I didn't think that because it's a video, not a photo, but there it was. Drag and drop it over to the desktop, wait for it to load over there, and then you're just fine. So that opens up lots of possibilities. Not only for more bookshelf tours, but for vlogs out and about. So just a little progress report there that I can indeed film on my phone again. That's great. I hope it works a second time. I'm going to try it tomorrow and see. But in the meantime, enough nattering from me. I will wrap this up, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.